So Scott, we can start maybe in a minute or two.
Absolutely.
So the link to register is in the chat, and we will post it on Facebook as well. So we have close to 300 people here joining in on this anticipated conversation on conscious parenting and how conscious parenting makes such a difference in your life. I know it's revolutionized the lives of so many because its principles are so profound, but so simple to implement. And if we can just pivot into conscious parenting, so many of the stressors and anxieties we have will dissipate. If you wish to share what's happening right now on your Facebook pages, you can hop onto my Facebook page at Dr. Shefali, Dr. Shefali, and you can then share this conversation onto your Facebook pages. Maybe one of your friends is struggling in her parenting and will find something powerful and useful. Ooh, Amanda's a single mom to 5 kids. What is your top stressor, Amanda? So as you're signing in, tell us what your top stressors are. What are your top triggers? I'd love to know what is the one thing that you're struggling with. Kids suffering with anxiety, daughter's anxiety, being present, fitting everything in, scheduling, my kids' emotions, having to repeat myself, the noise and the fighting, tantrums, connecting with my teen, patience. Yep, we all experience the same issues, don't we? Yelling at my kid, my son not being able to control his emotions, toddler tantrum, emotions reacting too fast, getting to emotional tantrums, emotional regulation, yelling, screen time, a strong-willed 13-year-old, being reactive, regulating emotions. Yeah, regulating our emotions is one of the hardest things in parenting because our kids are so emotional and they're reacting all the time and then they just control us. You know, it's all their fault. It is. If you didn't have these kids, you'd be the perfect parent. You really would. Anxiety about school, not listening. These bloody children, fussy eaters. What is with that? Exactly. Toddler life. So we have a lot of parents of young kids here. Mom of 2 toddlers. And as you're signing in and telling me your issues, tell me if you're coming to see me. Are you coming to see me at one of the cities? And have you registered yet? Are you bringing your partners? And how many men do you think will be there? I say 2. No, I'm just kidding. Scott is 1, and there'll be 1 more brave man in the audience. Typically, the men who come are the ones who are threatened by their wives. That this is the last straw. Hopefully, plenty of men, yes. So we have 320 people, but we had close to 600 signed up, but I think we should start. So welcome, everyone. I'm joined by the lovely Scott Harris. I'm Dr. Shefali. We're going to talk about my upcoming tour to Australia and begin a conversation on conscious parenting and give you a sneak peek on what I will be talking about. Hi, Scott.
Hello, Dr. Shefali from the other side of the world. And hi, everybody who's on the call tonight. I know all of us here, family and friends, mostly are on this call. We're so excited to have some time with you. We're beyond excited that you're brave enough and committed enough to come to Australia in the next couple of weeks. And we're just so thankful for the work that you're doing. So no story about what I'm doing tonight, but some of the people on this call tonight may not know your brilliance, and you're going to be too modest and coy to say how brilliant and amazing you are. So if you're familiar with Dr. Shefali, you know what I'm about to say, so just welcome. But if you're not familiar, this is a profoundly brilliant person, someone who's been anointed, so to speak, by the one and only Oprah. You don't get to sit on Oprah's couch lightly. That's a pretty prestigious honor. And she developed not just a book, but really this concept called conscious parenting, which goes beyond the 300 pages of the book. It's a philosophy. And her work and education comes from this beautiful mix of clinical psychology. She has a PhD in clinical psychology from no less than Columbia University. That's a big deal, as well as her understanding of Eastern philosophy. In fact, her PhD is in blending those two philosophies. And so if you're new to her work, get ready, pen and paper, take notes. And it's no profound sentence to say that your life's about to change, because I remember first reading the book Conscious Parenting, and then the books that came after that about the conscious family and so forth, just thinking, oh my gosh, why didn't anybody tell me that before the kid was born? Like, why did I have to wait till I think my kids were like 7 and 5 and 3? So this is great stuff. And I know everybody here on the call, I see lots of people saying, I've got toddlers, I've got 2, I've got 3. I think Ruth said she's got 5. Get ready to take lots of notes. And if you're like all of us on this call, whether you're a family and friends or a guest, you probably have some wounds around your parenting right now, or you just want to get better at it. And for me, and I've probably read about 45 books on parenting in the last 10 years. I don't know anybody better at teaching what Shefali does. So we're super excited. I'm going to talk as little as I can and just jump into it. Shefali, for those people who don't know your work yet, can you just give us what is the nutshell of conscious parenting?
Okay, so the elevator pitch is that it is a profoundly new and transformational approach to traditional parenting. It turns traditional parenting on its head. So what are the 3 basic concepts that are so different? Number 1 is that instead of focusing on raising the child, you're raising the parent. And I'm going to talk more about that. The second concept is that how you parent your children is profoundly influenced by how you were parented. And that's so obvious, but it is so insidious that it will even shock us at how every decision we make for our children, if we're not awakened, is coming from our own past, our own wounds, and our own projections. And it's almost eerie and shocking how much so that is. And the third concept is that parenting is not about control. It is really about connection. Connection to whom, though? Not connection to the kid of your fantasy or your expectation or the kid that you think you need to raise, but to the kid in front of you. And so much disconnection happens because we're raising the kid of our fantasy and not even connecting to the essence of the kid in front of us. And all of this occurs because we haven't awakened to our own inner alignment and connection, because we are still being puppeteered by the wounds and the influences of our past. And we don't even know this.
So here's what's amazing is that we only have an hour tonight, and you've just opened about a 4-day seminar right there. Let's start with, raising the parent. I think most of us would say on this call, listen, Shefali, I'm conscious. I'm feeding my kids vegetarian. We're not doing gluten. We're going to math lessons. I don't swear in front of them. They don't watch the TV. I control their iPad time. Like, I'm pretty conscious. I think that's what most of us would probably say. I'm aware of what I'm doing. I'm thinking about it. Tell us what that means to be a conscious parent and really raising the parent, which is not something any of us want to hear, obviously.
No, in fact, I'm already feeling bad for people who are going to hear what's coming next, because it is provocative and it's going to poke at parents, because no one is more defensive than the parent. Okay. None of us here is going to be rivaled in our defensiveness, because so much of our identity is based on being a good parent. So to be told in any way that we are screwing up is just blasphemous. So I'm going to be blasphemous, and you're going to probably not like me too much, but I will be doing you a service, because the only thing I'm blasting really is your ego. So let me go to what Scott was talking about. When people say that they are conscious, I remind them that they are sentient. Having 5 senses doesn't make us conscious. So what is consciousness? The difference between a sentient being and a conscious being is that the conscious being understands that their inner life is deeply and profoundly affecting their external life. Therefore, they have to develop a relationship with their inner life. And an awakening process undergoes an excavation of this inner terrain. Now, most of us don't even live connected to the inner voice. We have been so zombified, so conditioned to live reacting outside, that life is constantly a seesaw. If we lose weight, we're so happy. If we get the penthouse in the hotel upgrade, we're thrilled. But if on the way to the penthouse, somebody told us we were fat, stupid, or ugly, now we're miserable. So most of us live our life like yo-yos, constantly reacting to the outer world, and we don't even realize how much of our inner destiny is controlled by the outer world. To become conscious, to have a radical awakening, means to flip that switch, where it's no longer the external leading the cart, it's the internal leading the cart. And that is a profound difference in the way one can live. And that needs to be brought into your parenting now, so that you don't look at the child as the object of the fixing, the curating, and the raising. It's you. And when you do that, now your parenting becomes a profoundly spiritual journey. It becomes about awakening. So when your toddler is screaming in Walmart or whatever you have in Australia, you're like, oh, I'm about to awaken. I'm about to awaken. Instead of wanting to like kill your mother-in-law, because that's who your toddler resembles. So the whole journey changes once you realize and flip the switch and make it about the internal to the external.
It's so true. I say to people when I'm coaching them, people usually say they love surprises. And I always say, you actually don't like surprises. You like the surprises you like, and the surprises you don't like, you call problems.
Yes,
but there's still surprises, whether that's the 2-year-old or what's doing. Talk to us about, I think, again, most of us would say here, I've read books, I've been to seminars, I'm doing coaching. Surely I'm not still being impacted by my parents. Surely. Now, I know I say that. I mean, all of us have probably said things or done things and thought, gosh, they're the words of my mom. They're the words of my dad. But we probably think on this call that we've broken that cycle already. Tell us how we haven't and how that's still showing up.
Yeah, but there's no shame in, the reason we say that surely I'm done is because we feel shame that we aren't yet at some pinnacle of enlightenment. The conscious journey, the awakening process, is a never-ending one. And the fact that we want to be done is ego. The fact that you want to be done is your lack of consciousness, right? Yeah, check. Yeah, am I there yet? And can I be on top of the mountain? So again, consciousness is not about getting to a destination. And the minute you're clinging and craving happiness or enlightenment, you are fully blinded by ego. So our parents raised us pretty much unconsciously, because that was the generation, right? And not everyone's parents, but on the large. And what that means is that they raised us to develop a sense of worth based on the grade, the trophy, the butt implants or not, the wrinkles, and how we presented to the outside world. And that is the way we raise our children. So it's not about, whether I don't yell like my dad and I don't whip my kid like my mom. That's the easy stuff. This is about flipping that switch of creating an identity that is based on the external, or are we helping our children connect to an identity that is based on the internal? That is the switch. And every one of us falls into the trap of the former, because we want to send them to ski school at the age of 2 so that they can ski backwards. And we want them to learn sign language. And we want them to learn the trombone because that looks special on the college application versus just the piano, right? So we're always wanting to up the game because we've been raised that our identity depends on how well we play this game. But there is no game. It's all an illusion, and we don't realize that. So we're sending our children sheep to the slaughterhouse to develop a sense of worth. Go to school, have a good day, just get A grades, and we're acting like it's benign, but it's really a toxic philosophy, which not only decimates our children's worth, but really our own. We're not having a good time parenting children because we're so stressed out to raise the superstar.
I remember in your book, there's this great story that you talk about, stop parenting this child in front of it that you think should be part Michael Phelps and, part Steve Jobs and part brain surgeon. It's like that you're projecting all of what you think they should be onto them, often trying to heal our own wounds. Yes. And we've all been guilty of that. Can you speak about parenting the child that's in front of you? And I guess most people here, many people have got multiple children. I guess the need to parent, I've got 2 boys and 2 girls, and they're all different. Can you speak to parenting the child that you have, not the child you are trying to form, and how you need to probably parent your children differently given who they are and the journey they're at?
Yeah, it's really hard to parent the child before you. I can guarantee you none of you have really seen the kid before you. And when you've had glimpses, you've been really disappointed. Not because, no, not because, hear me out, not because the kid is disappointing, because the lens that you were looking through was the lens of grandeur. Like, oh, I'm going to raise the next, Venus Williams, or I'm going to raise the next, whatever sport or whatever academics your kid is even remotely good at, you've amplified that to take them to the world global stage to be a superstar. So you're just living in that fantasy. And that's why, when your kid at the age of 16 dares to give up a sport they've been playing for 15 years, like since age 2, you're like, are you kidding me? You're going to give this up? Because we were like, hello, we were about to go to the world stage. Now you're crashing it. And the kid is like, I'm done. And they're done in like a flip of a second. And you're like, this is my entire life's dream. What do you mean you're done? And then we pitch it and we fake it like, no, my kid needs to learn perseverance. No, it's not that. It's because you had this vision that you were taking them to Wimbledon. And now the kid is, thrown the baseball cap or the tennis racket down the toilet, and you are aghast. So to take out those lenses of our own unworthiness, which then get flipped into, let me make my kid worthy, is a difficult process. We don't even see ourselves in the mirror with transparency, and we don't even see our partners. That's why after the honeymoon, we're like, hello, are you the one I married? Where is that lovely Prince Charming or Cinderella? So the same thing happens with our children. We're so in the making of the child, so caught up in the creation of the childhood, that it's really hard to take out the lenses and just be with the essence of your kid. And anyway, what that would look like would mean that you would just connect with their ordinariness. You would strip them down to their essence and then decide if you like them at their essential level. They don't have to please you. They don't have to look like you. They don't have to become anything more than who it is they are. So do that exercise. Take out all the doing, take out all the pleasing. Imagine that they're actually not pleasing you. They're not good. Now see if you like them. And when you can truly like your kids at the bare essential level, now you've begun consciously parenting. Conscious parenting is the taking away of all the additives and coming down to the bare essence of your child, and then communicating absolute zest, power, pride, celebration of this essence. So stripping them down and then keeping it there. And then your child knows that with this one person, I can just be me. Now that is the essence of worth, where they can just be themselves. And this is what we owe our children. And many of us never give them this gift. And this is the gift they've been longing for. This is the only gift we all want from each other, is to be seen in our bare, transparent state of our essence.
I don't know if you can see the chat box right now, but it literally is blowing up with people just so powerful, so brilliant, so true. Again, if you're new to Dr. Shefali's work, this is the core essence of what this amazing person teaches. And yes, she is coming to the beautiful southern parts of the world very soon, both to New Zealand and Australia. So we're super excited. There's the dates that somebody just popped in: Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and Auckland in late April and early May. So it's profound. I mean, and her work really is profound. And I don't use that word lightly. I get to interview lots and lots of famous people. Many of you know who it is that I work with and what it is that I do. But Dr. Shefali really is just a global icon at what she does. And that she would get on a plane and come here and spend some time with us is pretty crazy. Let's do this. I like to say, no child is special or any less special than the other child. All of us as parents, again, we feel shame and guilt that we're not doing it right or correctly or properly or perfectly or whatever those things are. None of us, we talked last week, none of us like to admit that we've smacked our child or yelled at our child or cursed at our child or whatever. Let's answer some of those questions about that dance when I'm actually in parenting, because I know you talk about not controlling them, but letting them, be who they need to be. Is there a line? And if so, where is it? Where do I let them just be who they need to be and make their own choices, and also still understand that we have to function in this paradigm called universe and the world, and whether that's school or house cleaning or chores, or where is that line and how do you dance with it?
Yeah, you dance with it while breaking your body to pieces. It's not elegant. It's not pretty. It's a bloody chaotic mess because we've created a bloody chaotic world. When you keep saying it's so profound, I have to tell you, it shouldn't be profound. Now I know I'm resisting the isness.
Yep.
Okay, because what I'm saying is the way we should be living. It shouldn't be profound. It shouldn't be revolutionary. I'm embarrassed, honestly. I'm letting you say it because, maybe people will want to listen more, but to be truthful, it's the most simple way to live. It's the most elegant, the most natural way to live. It's because we've moved so far away from what I'm saying that it seems revolutionary, right? So when you go swimming with the dolphins, as I did recently, and we're in awe at the dolphin, what is the dolphin doing? The dolphin is just being playful in its spirit, in its essence. There's no effort, but we've created a life of effort and toil and achievement and doing. And because of that, we have lost our way. So that line is not easy. Right now, we're caught in the matrix. So now we're like, toodaloo, go to school. And not to blame the school system, but it's an institution. Or, okay, now go get married, another institution. Or now have children, another institution. So all these institutions are based on the same premise of achievement, of success, of doing, and of chasing happiness. So it's just a labyrinth to madness. So now I'm saying, let's reverse the labyrinth. And it seems shocking, profound, and transformational. But I'm bringing us back to where we should have been in the first place. So when we're dancing the line, we can only dance it with a hope if we understand that the world of the matrix is an illusion. If you buy into the world of the matrix, this is going to make no sense to you. If you understand that that is an illusion. So I named my daughter, because I have an ego to name her, I named her Illusion. Okay. So every time I call her, I'm like, she's not yours. It's an illusion. Her name is Maya and it means illusion. I was like, because I must never forget, this is an illusion. You don't control her. So it just reminds me all the time. But what ego I have, no? I'm like, I'm going to name her for me. So since it's all ego anyway, might as well let it work for me, right? So this dance can only be danced, Scott, if we understand the BS of the matrix. If we are intrigued or in love with it, there is no dance. Then we are fully faking the dance. The dance is what? Between essence and ego, between being and doing, between formless joy, boundless joy, and the chase and the achievement and the doing. So you can't dance this dance unless you understand that whatever's in the matrix is just something we are conditioned with. It's an illusion. So we play here, but we come back. We come back. And what are we coming back to? So most of us don't have anything to come back to. And that's what I teach. Go play in the matrix. Go and do your thing in the external world, but can you come back? And that's what Eastern spirituality teaches us, is come back home, come back within, come back to yourself. And most of us don't have that. And that's what I'm teaching parents, because once they have that to come home to, they will preserve it for their children. But if they are homeless, then they're not going to be able to align with their children's inner home.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I've got to take notes for myself because I'm a parent of 4. How do we appease the concerns of many mums on the call working from home, multiple children? Great, that's amazing. How do I let them just be? And yet, how do I avoid having paint all over the kitchen and having, flour thrown around the kitchen, or how do I live that and not get caught up in the matrix of the facades that we've created, the institutions we've created in life? How do I do that and yet still function in my home or, in the world? How do I still get them to follow the rules of netball and soccer training on Tuesdays after school? How do I still get them to, do their ABCs that they need to do in some way, shape, or form without fully withdrawing from the institutions and living, on a mountain somewhere?
Yeah, you don't have to fully withdraw. People equate spirituality or what I'm talking about as, oh, so now that's it. Let's go live on a mountaintop, or let my kids smoke crack at 3. No, because they don't want to do the hard work. So what I'm proposing is, no, you can live in the form-based world. You can live in the matrix, but it is a declaration to how to live in the matrix. So how are you going to live here? Are you going to live here fully caught up, fully buying into it, licking the matrix every day, going, I love you, I love you, I love you? Or are you going to live with something else in the foreground? So it's about what's in the foreground. You can live in the matrix, but it cannot be in the foreground. So when your joy for living in presence is in the foreground, and that's something you have to cultivate through mindfulness and what we're talking about, when you understand that the flour all over the kitchen, the schedules, go to dance, go clean up your room, comb your hair, all those commands of the ego form-based world are necessary. But while you're commanding, you understand that it's an illusion. It's not the foreground. The foreground is you're having a good time. I know you don't want to go to sleep. I know you want another chocolate. It's so delicious, isn't it? So when the child sees that you get them, you get that this is all just, okay, let's go do homework. And they're like, I hate homework, right? So if your kid says, I hate homework, and you lie to them and go, homework is important. Homework is important. And you believe your lie, now you're raising a kid in the matrix. Versus, I don't know why we have to do homework. Homework sucks, right? So I taught my daughter this like at 3, and I regretted it for the rest of my life. I was like, you don't listen to Dr. Shefali, because for the rest of her life, she was like, what did I say? Homework is hypocrisy or something. And she caught on to that, and that's it. She was like, Mom, you said that homework is a hypocrisy and it's redundant. Why do you make me do homework? I was like, you just go do your homework. So as long as we can understand that we've set all this up, it's an illusion. They don't have to go for soccer practice. You put that on the calendar. They don't have to go for ballet. You decided that it was good for their coordination. No, they don't have to play the violin. Half of the stuff we have lost our minds over is based on ego. And how do I know that? Because if it wasn't based on ego, then every single human would have to do that. The fact that you do violin and she does baseball and he does juggling just goes that this is all optional. So anything optional is coming from your decision as a parent. And if it's coming from your decision as a parent, it's coming from your ego. It's not life essential, it's ego essential. So when you learn the difference, then you can do the ego essential, but please don't pretend like it's life essential. It's not. So when your kid drops baseball at age 16, after you spent thousands of dollars taking them all over the country, hoping that they would go for the major leagues, don't pretend like it's a big deal, because it isn't. And your kid knows this. Kids know that it's not a big deal. They're like, it's not a big deal. Why are all these grown-ups making it a big deal? Because the grown-ups are caught up in the ego of it, and they don't even know that it's ego. They think it's real.
Yeah. I think probably upstairs in my house, Shefali, I have about 7 different instruments that I've bought in the last 10 years: the violin, the flute, the trumpet, the clarinet, all of them, thinking hopefully maybe one of them somewhere will blow in something or pluck at the strings long enough to be successful. Of course, that hasn't happened because it wasn't their choice. I've got lots of questions that have come in from our people about lots of things, because they want to know about, what happens to my beautiful child that's delightful, but then turns into a challenging teen? What happens, when they're bored, and how do I fix them and move that forward and so forth? But what I'd rather talk about is what's going to happen on the night. We get the chance to be in grace with you in space. I mean, this is already beautiful. And I know everybody can see it and feel it from the comments in the chat. But share with us what's different about sitting together in a room, heart to heart, space to face, face to face. Tell us what the evening might feel like.
Well, projecting into the future with some degree of foretelling, I think that my intention for everyone gathering there is to really connect as parents who are floundering. No shame, no blame. And that we are all lost at sea. I have been doing this work since my 20s, and it's been more than 20 years. I have never met the perfect parent, and I've never met the perfect child. And this is the great disappointment, because one of us thought that we would be getting that prize, but there isn't even a prize, because it's a constant shit show. It just never ends, there's no, and then if your kid kind of makes it to adulthood, their kids are going to be a mess up. So this is not about perfection. So I want us to sit together, drop the ego, drop the mask, and really talk about, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? What is the purpose here? And to come down to a shared understanding that we can all agree to, dropping the facade. And if parents globally drop the facade, half of us are doing things because the bloody neighbor, that overachieving, overzealous neighbor, is doing it. And she sets the whole thing in motion. We will blame her. And because her kids are superstars and they all play 3 instruments, now you're like, oh my God, my kid does nothing all day. And then you feel the pressure of her children, right? So it's a trend. But if we globally could begin changing the trend, internally dropping the mask one by one, then our kids will live a different childhood. Childhood is not a stepping stone to adulthood. Childhood is the most powerful, profound stage of development that we have effed up because of our ego. And our children deserve a right to their childhoods. And this is a plea, this is a reminder to your own lost childhood. All of us had lost childhoods. And it's a reclamation, and it's a redemption, and it's a permission. So that's what I hope to share with all of you.
It's a pretty powerful evening. Can you speak, I think you just kind of already did, to the power of like-minded parents being in that community themselves, like the value of not just being with you that night, but being in a room full of other parents that are on that conscious path? Because many people feel like they're doing it on their own. Like I'm so not like everybody else, or I'm working from home, or I'm living from home. And so can you speak to the power of just connecting with, another 150 parents, from around my city?
But this is it. This is why it's so important to spread the word if you feel resonance with this message, because we're all in need of this, but we need permission from each other. No one puts pressure on us to be perfect except us. We parents are screwing each other up and then messing our kids up. Kids are not telling us, mommy, why aren't you putting more pressure on me? Why aren't you making me more perfect? The kids are like, leave me alone. I'm so good on the couch. It's us parents putting pressure on each other. And we have to drop this. We have to collectively consent to change the culture of parenting. We have to begin the trend and create the tsunami. So come to do it for your sisters. Come to do it for the mother who feels too much stress and shame. Yeah. Because when you release the pressure in your own life and you show up naked as a parent, just being himself or herself, not trying to raise the perfect kid, you give permission to the next parent. Hey, there is no perfection. Drop it. Now it begins to permeate your parenting, your energy changes at home, and your kids feel it. So the reason community of like-minded conscious people is so important, because we release each other, we liberate each other, we elevate each other. And it can only be done in community. When I began this work, I was so-called alone, right? I felt very alone. And so the first thing I began doing in my life is creating community, because I needed people to help me live this life. We cannot do this alone. It does take a village, and we've lost the village. So I'm asking you to be part of this village, and I want to be part of yours. But we have to do effort, loving effort, to bring ourselves together in that space.
It really does take a village. And I feel like, can you speak to that then? Who is the night for? I think sometimes people mistakenly think and I can say this because I'm a man in this call, they think parenting is woman's work or that your work is only speaking to women, but I feel like it definitely is speaking to me. I feel like your work is for, married moms, single dads, married dads, aunties, uncles, grandparents. I think it's for everybody. Can you speak to that?
It's for everyone who's had a parent.
Mm.
It's really for everyone who's had a parent, because we are all children still waiting to be liberated. So while I may talk about what you can do for your child outside, what I'm really talking about is what you can do for your child inside. So it's really, if you've had a parent, come for this talk, because it's a problem that we are facing at a gargantuan level for humanity. How we are treating the earth today, or what you're seeing in Ukraine today, isn't just something new. It's not like, oh, this new dictator. No, he is a manifestation of exactly what I'm talking about, is this ego. So while you and I don't go and bomb another city, we do bomb the inner city of our children's essence. We have 100% abducted their essence and marauded it. We don't want to see that. When I began to see my child's light go out, I could see it in front of my eyes. And that was my wake up call. She was around 3 years old. I was acting like a out of control lunatic over something stupid. Like she didn't, she woke up in the middle of the night, or she did something human, but it was against my ego, my standard. And I was yelling at her, and I could see the light dimming. And these moments that we have with our children, if you're brave enough to see how you maraud their spirit, how you talk over them, how you're not listening, how everything is about you, then you will begin to understand that you are your own child's dictator. They don't need a Putin. You are the tyrant. And I feel bad to say this to parents, but this is the work. I saw my own tyrant nature. I'm not ashamed to say it. My daughter will tell me boldly to my face, oh, Mom, you're in your Jesus complex again. And I'm like, I am, or she'll tell me straight, you're being hypocritical, because it's true. So if you are brave enough to look at your shadow, there is no better journey than the parenting journey to do that. And there is no greater gift you can give your children than to look at your shadow brutally, honestly, and release it. For whom better can we do this work for than for our children?
I hope you're all taking as many notes as I am right now. There are some pretty big sentences in that conversation. If you're brave enough to look at your own shadow is a pretty big sentence. Just as a side note, I'm sure all of you know, I work for someone who is very well known as probably the world's leading personal development coach and expert and guru. And we start every $10,000 and $20,000 seminar with the following sentence. Shefali, whose love did you crave the most, your mother's or your father's? And these are $10,000 and $20,000 seminars. It's the first question we ask, because we know that's the wound that then they haven't cleaned up and haven't fixed and haven't healed. That really does go on. I have to ask one other question that's the flip side of that, because I know people are feeling it. Are you saying I can just let my 13-year-old stay on the couch and game all day? Surely I have to get them outside and make them exercise and eat some broccoli. Surely I have to make them clean their room, or ideally pick their school bag up. I know that's the story in the book. What do I do with that part of my brain? Because what you just spoke to was everybody's heart. But what about that part of my brain that says, no, but they've been on the couch for 4 hours gaming and they haven't eaten any, non-carbohydrate food for 2 days? How do I address that fear?
Right. And in my talks, I will have a section on how do I do this, putting it into practice. But let me just briefly explain to you that question cannot be answered without understanding a few things. So let me just give this to everyone watching, because I get this resistance a lot. So what do you mean? Just let the kid be on their screens? Because that's what my kid is saying they want. Your kid is not saying that's what they want. You know what part in your kid is saying that? Your kid's ego, your kid's false self. Why? Because we have raised them in a world of false self. Who gave them the iPad? Who gave them the iPad? Who right now you'll say, well, what do you want me to do, Dr. Shefali? So then it is what it is. Then there's no evil person here. First, if it is what it is, and now we're all caught up in this ego-based, disconnected world of screens, including you, then it is what it is. So now the kid is not an enemy, and the iPad is not an enemy. Now, knowing that, we create a negotiation. We create a discussion where both can get their needs met. But do not think that, when you say, my kid tells me that they just want to eat ice cream all day and game all day. No, your kid's ego that we have raised them with in this matrix full of ego says that. So you as a conscious parent understands, oh, look at my kid's ego. What have we done to our children? And then lovingly get them back to essence. Now, this is a struggle because we have increasingly created ego in our world and disconnection. But our generation did that. It's not the kids' fault. Our generation, got Uber Eats going and Uber, and, we allowed our kids to sit more and more and more. So the kid is not the enemy. The technology is not the enemy. However, it's all coming out of ego. So now we all need to correct, right? We all need to come back to center, all of us together. So don't yell at your kid. Don't blame them. Look at it from an integrated perspective that we all are in this mess together. We're all disconnected. We're all numbing. We're all addicted. We all want instant gratification. This is today's ego-based world. Maybe 70 years ago or 100 years ago, it was more about racism, and not that racism doesn't exist today, but that was the way ego showed up. Now the way ego shows up is through disconnection. Ego is always changing its face. There's the predominant dark face of the ego, and then there are other, slightly less forceful faces of the ego. So right now in our current matrix, it shows up as supreme disconnection through technology. So have compassion for your kid that they were robbed of their essence even more than we were perhaps by this technology. But we've done that to our children. So it's not the kid's fault now that he's numb, that they cannot socially interact, that they live in a room and they want to be killing people on video games. We did this to them. But it's their ego talking now. Your kids are disconnected now because we've raised them like this. It's sad.
Melissa Thomas, sorry, I see your comment, Melissa. She says that bloody ego getting in the way. And I think that's true for all of us. If you're listening to this or watching this in whatever platform you're watching it on, if you just want to share this or tag someone or do whatever you want to do, please. I think it's really important, the profound impact of Dr. Shefali's work. So if you are watching this and you're on a platform where you can share it or tweet it or do whatever you need to do, please do that because it really is important. I am going to ask one last question on here, and it says, the question is, you've opened my heart, you've opened my mind. People are writing, oh my gosh, truth bombs. Oh my gosh, this is all amazing. Where do I start? How do I start becoming a conscious parent?
Right. It sounds really overwhelming. It sounds really intimidating. I get it. So the way to start, are we looking at something by mistake?
Something just happened. Linda, just jump in. I'm viewing Kelly Ann's screen.
Yeah, so Kelly Allen, maybe we don't view your screen.
I'm on it. Let's see.
Oh, so she's showing us the tour. So we'll get to that in a second.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. So
here we go.
We start with a really small seed of awareness. Do I want to live my life differently? Am I living in the most conscious way possible? It's a really small seed that needs to begin to awaken its potential within you. And then you have to water that seed. The tragedy is that we are watering the seeds of ego every day. And it's so much more work to water those seeds. We are exhausted. We are stressed out. We are broke. We are overweight. We are diseased watering the seeds of ego. So it sounds like what I'm saying is hard. No, I'm saying what you're doing is hard. And I'm going to show you an easy way. But in order to come to this side, right? And there are no sides per se, I'm not against anyone, but to come to this side of the matrix, meaning leaving the bubble, you have to start not watering those seeds and start watering different seeds. So in the moment, it begins in the moment, right? You get to make a choice. And then you get to make the next choice. And then you get to make the next choice. So now I'm writing my 5th book on parenting because it is not something easy to understand. But
Thank
hell,
you.
but to get a PhD, you're willing to spend 10 years to get an engineer's degree and to become a doctor, to become anything. You're willing to spend the money. So why aren't we willing to spend the energy to become more conscious? So go read my 5 books, damn it. And don't be crying and whining. You can do it because you're already doing it. You're already doing so much work in the ego-based matrix. Come on this side and you'll do way less work and live a more joyful, conscious life. So this is what I'm going to teach when I come on my tour. I'm going to be talking for 3 hours. So I have a lot of information to give you. I'll be doing a Q&A in the deep dive, and I'm going to begin to plant those seeds. And some of you will leave with a new awareness. And that's all I can do in 3 hours, but that's profound. And then you take those seeds and go home and you read more books and you take my courses or take other courses like mine, and you begin to water those seeds. And it may take a bit of a quest. It may take a few months. And slowly your consciousness will begin to pivot towards a new awakening. Things take a little bit of time. But that is one of the most profound new directions you can begin to walk on. I know that I've been walking on this path now for 25 years, and I can see how I live and the level of stress compared to other people. And it's way less. So I'm not magical and I'm not a genius. I've just chosen a different set of ideals to live by, and you can too. And when you do, your children will begin to live them as well. So this is the promise, but it depends on individuals' readiness. So what I'm going to ask, I have an ask for all of you. If anything resonated within you, if you felt like, I need to explore this a little bit more. I don't understand what this woman is saying, but something intrigues me. Don't be afraid to come to listen to more. At best, you can leave the same. But what's even better is that you could leave transformed. I guarantee you, you won't leave less than what you came with. So you may leave the same, but there's a chance that you could leave with more, and you could directly, profoundly impact your children. So try. We did this for free. You have to buy a ticket because there's an investment. But I'm asking you, for the sake of the next generations, for the sake of the earth, but for your sake, to come for my talk. We will be together. And more than just come, share it with other parents, because I really think they need a balm. They need a soothing respite. And sometimes these words can give them that. So I'm asking you to help me share. I'm not a native Australian or New Zealander. So my ask is humbly to ask you to please share the word.
Well, you did it beautifully, and you're not a native Australian or New Zealander, but we're going to be happily accepting of you into our family down here. Just in case you don't know, you're watching tonight, there is an awesome discount tonight. It's a $50 discount off any of the tickets for come along to see Dr. Shefali in any of the major cities in Australia and Auckland. There is single tickets, couple tickets, and there's also an opportunity to meet and greet with Dr. Shefali if you wanted to get the platinum ticket, which means you get to, take a photo and connect with her for a couple of moments. So I would just remind you that Shefali said sometimes we can look at an investment and an experience like tonight and misunderstand the impact that can have. I think Dr. Shefali was being very humble when saying that you won't leave any less than what you are. You're going to leave transformed. Already just in the little time we've spent together tonight, I can see all the comments, I see the faces, I see the truth bombs, I see the awarenesses. For me as well, I've got some work to do. And so I will certainly be sitting somewhere up close and personal, taking lots of notes. So if you see all the links on the screen, please go hit them, go click them, go register. It's a small investment for the impact you're going to create, not just for yourself and for your child and for their journey into their chapter of their grown-up mature life. I also believe it's an absolute investment in your marriage. I think if you're parenting together, it's an extraordinary thing. I would say if you're parenting with a spouse that maybe not as awake as you, maybe either ask them and offer them to come, or maybe just be okay if they don't come and they're not ready. That's okay too. It's not for me to say whether she or he should come or shouldn't come. But I would speak to gifts. And if you understand how Christmas works in our culture and birthdays work in our culture. If I buy you a gift, I don't then come to your house and make sure that you're wearing the jumper I bought you or you've put up the picture frame that I've given you. What I think is, gosh, you're an amazing, beautiful person in my life, and I'm going to buy you this really nice jumper. I'm going to buy you this really nice picture frame, and I'm going to gift it to you. So I'd say to you, if you have got someone in your life that you love and adore, and you think they could really value from tonight, don't just tell them they should go. Just buy the ticket for them. It's $150. It's the price of a good sushi meal, and give them that experience and say, I bought 2 tickets and I bought one for you, and I love you, and you're a great friend, you're a great business partner, you're a great relative, auntie, uncle, cousin, whatever it's to be, and just offer them a gift. I mean, you're happy to buy someone a bottle of French champagne or you take them out to lunch. Give them this experience as well. So the link is simple. As I said, it's $50 off, family 50. It's going to be an amazing 3 hours. And then beyond that, the impact is going to be extraordinary for weeks and months and years to come. I just remember first reading your work and just going, wow, it's profound. And of course, the journey never ends, because I'm sure you know this, Dr. Shefali, once you get to chapter 1 and the kid gets to 5 or 10 and you think you've got it sorted out, then the teenager turns up. And once you get the teenage phase sorted out, and I'm not in this phase yet, I'm in teenager phase, then the young adult turns up. And my guess is, and I don't know yet, but I guess is that journey keeps going as they keep going on their journey.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So it's a family 50. Is that the code?
Family 50 is the special code we've got. So if you click on any of the links tonight, on any of the web pages that it lands to, if you type in family 50, you'll get 25% off your single price. If you come as a platinum, as a couple, there is $100 off, which is pretty crazy. For me, I would just do this. It seems obvious to me. I mean, if you go to the theater, if you go to the football, you're going to want to sit up close in front. So I would coach you if you can. You want to connect with this amazing teacher and this beautiful soul. And if you get to do that for a couple of moments after the event, then shout yourself, shout your parenting, shout your child, the gift of you doing the platinum experience. It's a few dollars more and you'll be up close and personal and get a photo opportunity at the end of the evening. So it's pretty exciting. And as we said, share. We need to be part of a village and a community. If you're a guy watching this right now, I know so many guys, listen, I think these skills are almost more important for men because generally we spend less time with the child. So it's like, I want to get even more impactful with the time. So this is for husbands and dads and uncles as much as it is for the ladies in our lives. Parenting is not women's business. I really think what you said before was profound, Shefali. This should be how we're parenting, how you're teaching. That's the profoundness of it. How you're teaching is really where we should be at. And I would speak to as well, to those of you maybe parenting in maybe disharmony right now with somebody because you have a spouse or an ex-spouse, just love on them, maybe gift them a ticket. And if they don't use it, it doesn't matter. If you gift someone a sweater and they don't wear it, it doesn't matter. There's certainly nothing to be lost from offering your ex-spouse or your co-parent. Say, listen, there's nothing at all, but I just thought I'd buy you this gift. Here it is. If you wanted to come, great. It'd be amazing. Because there's not anybody, as Shefali said, anybody that's had a parent is qualified to come. And that's all of us, I think.
Right. And conscious parenting for me is more than just each of us. It's really activism at its core. And when we take care of our parents, we're taking care of our earth, of our animals, of our future. So this is social activism. This is not about your personal awakening only. We all have to awaken. And how do we awaken if our children are not getting what we need to give them? So the way you can activate your activism right now is share this talk. It's being live streamed on my Facebook page at Dr. Shefali. Share the link and they can watch this for themselves and see if they're moved to come, or call a friend, email 5 people. There are ways that we can spread messages that are valuable. And like you share a Netflix movie, like you share, a celebrity coming to town, these teachings are the teachings that impact at the deepest level. And really, we should be sharing transformational messages more and more. So just like you would tell a friend to go watch a movie, tell them to check out this event. And if it calls to them, they will. So this is activism. So, this is not just about you. Oh, I can't go to Sydney. And then you forget about it. No, it's about maybe your friend can go. Maybe she needs help. And I always say, if one child less can get spanked, or one child less can get yelled at, or one child less does something out of ego, the entire planet can revolutionize. So this is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about small stuff about screen times and carrots. We're talking about global transformation here. It starts in the house. It starts between parent and child. It's so simple, but that's where everything occurs. As an adult, everything occurred in the first 7 years of a kid's life. It's so frustrating, but that's what it all boils down to. As he said, that's the first question we ask in every seminar. So how you are with your passion, with your purpose, with your body, in your business, with your money, how you are with your cat, your dog, your sister, your neighbor, your friend, all starts with how you were treated in the first 7 years of your life. This is what I'm talking about. So this is not about you and just you and your kid. This is about the entire planet, and this message needs to be out there. I'm just one conduit, but you are an ambassador as well. So I need you to help me. I can't do it alone. So I'm shamelessly asking.
Well, I'm going to ask for it too, my friends. It's all of us. Let's get out there and just share. You want to go share the live Zoom call from Dr. Shefali's Facebook page. Here's what we're going to do, just for fun, as a thank you. We're going to randomly pick one person from each of the major cities who's done multiple lots of shares, and they're going to get they're going to go into the draw to win a VIP ticket to actually meet Dr. Shefali, see her obviously speak, and then get to meet her for a moment as well. So please go to the page, share it. I'll be doing that the minute this call ends. All of us will be as well. Also, this is time sensitive. So really the family 50 code is only going to be active and work until Sunday. If you're on this call, it's because somebody from some of your group, your team, your family asked you to come. So it's not a code that's going to be up and running for the next 3 weeks until we're graced with Dr. Shefali's presence. It's going to be up until Sunday evening. So if you want to save 25%, do that. Again, if it was me, I would just do the VIP ticket so you get to sit up close in front in that beautiful experience. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, just make sure we've hit all the points. Gosh, thank you so much for what you've done. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you so much. I hope most of you realize, as far as I know, Dr. Shefali is the first international speaker to come to Australia since pre the madness. So you're ahead of the curve. I don't know if any major rock bands have come yet. I don't know if any famous speakers have come yet. I think you're the first. You're really jumping on a plane and leading the way. So we are ever so grateful. We're so excited. And we as a family right now are going to just go share and encourage our family and friends and the people in our lives that we work with, that we do business with, that we interact with, and get them to come along and spend not just 3 hours with you, but be on this movement with you and on this journey with you. We're ever so grateful. Can everyone just send lots of love in the chat box right now? Love hearts, chats, sweet, good, beautiful thoughts. Send some love. Thank you, Katie, Michelle, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Send lots and lots of beautiful love. And the way that we then look at that, all the beautiful love. And of course, the way we do that, get yourself registered, buy at least one ticket for a family member or a friend, and then go and share this like crazy on your social medias so we can share this beautiful message of this amazing teacher that we are blessed to see in person in a couple of weeks' time. Dr. Shefali, thank you so much. It's a privilege and an honor, and we get to see you soon.
Thank you. I cannot wait. It's been my honor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Good night, everybody. Congratulations. See you soon.
Bye.